Hello everybody, and this video is about why should you call me by they them pronouns. And for one, if you are watching this, chances are you're either desperately looking for any reason at all that you can get to justify the they them pronouns, or you are like, why on earth should I do this? And it's kind of for both, but more of for the latter of the two, which is okay, why should I actually, in all legitimacy, call you by they them pronouns? Now, if you're just on here trolling or whatever, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Have fun. Anyhow, so to get started, I want to just start off by saying that misgendering someone is not hate speech, and it's not an act of violence, and it should not be illegal. So that I've probably already triggered thousands of people. I've already triggered thousands of people, and I only have like 14 subscribers. So yeah, I mean, quite the accomplishment, I must say. So yeah. So why should you call someone by they them pronouns? Well, let's break this down, okay? So gender and I guess let's start with gender. Gender is, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of a being of social and mental state, really. Socially and cultures and stuff like that, male and female is going to be vastly different, just, depending on things. And of course, this is gender completely separate from sex altogether. And basically, what gender you identify with, because let's be real, okay? Most of the time when we are socializing with people, there are only really 3 instances at all whenever sex matters at all, and I can already be like, I mean, yeah, what's actually, down there. Otherwise, no one else gives a crap about, genitalia. They base it all off of presentation and, and for some mental state. And, one, medically, yeah, I mean, sex should definitely be addressed as what sex are you, and I totally agree with that. As far as now, for getting laid, yeah, before you get into a relationship or before you get too far into a one-night stand, both sides should be real about, what's down there, but to kind of be like, but it shouldn't really even matter even there, is that, before you're trying to get laid or whatever, you should at least spend enough time to know if you're having safe sex. Because, you don't want to, do the thing with, someone with, sexually transmitted disease or something like that, and you don't want to get someone pregnant, and you don't want to get pregnant yourself, or if you're gay, it's, you still got the sexually transmitted diseases issue. And just the same as you should, when it comes to having, with, before getting laid, you should know that, you should also be aware of what's down there. But, we don't demand that, everyone who is, has some sort of sexually transmitted disease wears a sign around them saying that they have it. And I think, it's a responsibility to still say that, whether or not you have it before you get a little too deep into your one night stand or or relationship. And thirdly is the bathroom thing. And it's like, dude, I don't care what sex you are. If you try to attack me, if I'm in the guy's restroom and you try to attack me, I'm gonna have a problem. Regardless of if you're a guy or a female or whatever. And if I'm in the girl's restroom, I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. I don't want you coming after me. No one does, unless that's their thing. Unless it's part of that one night stand I was just talking about. But yeah, so. And honestly, when it comes to bathrooms, I think no one really cares as long as you're passable as one or the other, because very obviously I would not go into a girl's restroom. Because, well, just because I have a vagina doesn't mean I look like I have one. So yeah, yeah. So, it's kind of like, does what really, realistically, socially, we go off of, presentation with masculinity and femininity, just as the sociological term says. And 90% of the time, that's kind of the case. No one really gives a crap what's in your pants. And of course, we have people who are masculine, feminine, and then we have, I'm gonna, for now on, refer to as queers as a gender third gender term. And so yeah, just try to keep track with that. So and then you got really androgynous people who could easily be shoved into a completely other category of neither male or female, being queers. I like the term queers as a third gender term. That's why I'm using it. But that's my preference of, looking at things and my interpretation and word usage. So, yeah. And of course, on a mental state, now, we can have we can debate about, okay, well, what is a person mentally, male or female? They have to fit in that category, but I am of the belief that you don't necessarily have to be like that. You might actually have a lot of mental traits from both, or in the case of me, maybe you just feel disconnected, and we could come up with theories as to why, we we might feel this way, and honestly, with the disconnection from gender, it could be a totally dissociative thing. Yeah, like a dissociation kind of issue rather than a gender. But just feeling really super disconnected from gender altogether. And regardless of that, it's like you just don't really want to be put into either one of those categories of male or female. And I mean, if we're just going off of socially and mentally, I mean, dude, as humans, we are vastly different, and different cultures have a third gender. I'm probably gonna butcher this. Hijab. uh, here. Whatever the one in India is. Heresies, maybe? I don't know. I might be mixing up a lot of words. And then, of course, in Native American, there's the two-spirited thing, and I don't really know a lot about other cultures, but I know that the other cultures also, there are other cultures with that. And it's like, I mean, hell, here in America, I mean, it's just like, dude, have you seen the way we all are? Like, there are a lot of people here who do not look like either male or female. Like, wouldn't it be nice to just kind of shove them into a group of their own kind of ish? Or at least kind of what they look like into a group? And of course, we call it androgynous, but still, you know what I mean. Or maybe you don't, and maybe I'm not clear to why comment section exists, so you can ask me questions. So, yeah, and I know I'm taking a while to, go through this and explain it, but, it's a process, isn't it? So, yeah. Now, I'm a believer of respecting interpretation. Now, I think if you want to be respectful to that person, while I don't feel like misgendering someone is a hate crime or violence, an act of violence, or, whatever, I think you are being disrespectful to their interpretation of who they are, and you are kind of being rude just because there are the people who there are people who just like titles. Some people would get really, really butthurt if you call a professor a teacher. I have a tendency to actually go with instructor a lot because I used that back in high school occasionally, and it just kind of follows along into college. But and so depending on who we are referring to is going to depend on what title do you give this person. And it can be very offensive to call call a professor a teacher or something like that. And I think that's a little overboard, but it is a thing that's actually legit though. Miss, Mrs., same gender but just married. It's kind of funny because Mister is just kind of stays that way eternally. And of course, I gotta say though, with Doctor, and this is where I can I will give them respect of Professor and Doctor because they do work hard to get to where they are. But yeah, but I mean, like, or labels, just like, I mean, if you're a straight guy who just isn't that great into dating or anything, and you start getting called gay, it's gonna, it's kind of disrespectful because you know to yourself that you're straight, right? Um, but other people's interpretations of you are gonna be vastly different, and now, I mean, like, if there's significant evidence saying, yeah, you're probably bisexual, then, like, you might want to listen to that just the same as if someone gives me reason to not go, I'm willing to hear to, why non-binary identity, being queer is not legitimate, but at the same time, I also expect the same respect of being listened to and actually thinking through, what I say, because I give the same respect, and that's really how we make progress in this world, is listening and understanding and thinking, which a lot of us don't do nowadays. A lot of us don't do that thinking thing. And so, of course, I'm just getting kind of specifically into, gender in general, but, it's like, okay, so what if I feel disconnected from gender and I just absolutely, when I look in the mirror, I cannot honestly tell myself that you fit into girl, you fit into boy. I can't tell myself either one of those things. And to me, that pure disconnection does make me feel like I am more a gender. And therefore, I don't want to be associated with the female or male referring. Now, to be real though, now you're probably like, but they is plural, and it's like, I'll get to that in a minute. But, and I am a strong believer of interpretation, and I think if someone sees me as a girl, and if they have a good argument to say why I am a girl, I'm not going to be happy with it, and in fact, I'm going to be pretty annoyed because I know I'm not a girl. I mean, if you watch my last video, I even talked about, where do we draw the lines of biological sex, too. So, I mean, it's like, potentially, I might already be far enough on transitioning that you might say, well, that's not a girl then, because they have the male hormone. But you might not see me fully as male because of tits and vagina. And so, yeah. And, if that's your logic, then that's cool. Now, like, I separate sex from gender identity because gender identity is more of a social and mental state of mind. I mean, don't get me wrong, the hormonal effects can definitely affect those feelings as well. But, and as far as transitioning goes, it's kind of like you're just kind of taking, it's a cosmetic surgery, and in a sense, that's exactly what it is too. Is it's just you want to look more like how you feel, just as anyone who might get other cosmetic surgeries might do, or someone might dye their hair or get their ears pierced. Like it's because that's just kind of a part of what they see in themselves, how they see their selves being, and sometimes sometimes we see ourselves being not what we were born as, and some of us don't see ourselves on either male or female. So I mean, there's to justify at least the genderqueer identities, at least or at least to simply justify it as much as I can in a YouTube video without taking forever. So yeah, and we should, like I said, it's pretty separate. But after this, it's like if you still are like, dude, I have enough reasons to say you're a dude or a chick or whatever, then that's chill too. Like, but give me a good reason. Like, don't just because of this, like because God. Because I can also argue against that too, like not the existence of God, but gender identity alongside with God. So yeah, don't even give me that. Or like I said, just don't give me stupid. Don't give me stupid. Like, I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on, just don't give me stupid. But I respect that if you have a logical reasoning to say, hey, I still interpret you as this, and you give me, X, Y, and Z, then, like, well, I mean, that's definitely not my interpretation of myself, and that might not even be other people's interpretation of myself. And, I can still be myself, and I can still be my own interpretation, even if your interpretation is not the same as mine. So, so I just want to make that clear. Is just to specifically the SJW snowflakes in the world and all the extreme leftists is just, look, people don't have to agree with what gender you are. They don't absolutely beyond a doubt have to accept it, and hell, they don't have to recognize it, and that does not invalidate who you are, because if we're going off that logic, then you know what, saying God's name in vain, saying God and then adding damn it, or using Jesus Christ in the angrily tonedness of how we do, that should in fact be just as equally wrong as someone misgendering you, because that is the equivalent of invalidating someone's religious beliefs, just the same as someone misgendering you would be invalidating your gender. So I mean, if you want to take that logic, go right ahead, but I better not hear any I better not hear any of that GD, man. Like, and if you're like, oh, screw that, then pull your shit together and just accept that people misgendering you is not an invalidation of who you are, because you are you, and you know yourself, And, even if people don't see you for who you are yourself. So, yeah, that's just a thing to cover the SJW snowflake leftist, whoever is watching, who's like, but, recognize my gender identity or else you're a freaking bigot. Like, for real, I hate that. I really hate it. And those people are exactly why I have to do this. Those people are why I have to make a video trying to be slightly logical about gender identity. Uh, like, I shouldn't even be doing this, but whatever. Like, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, we've covered gender. So let's get into, okay, but what about with the pronouns and stuff like that? You know, regardless of the actual gender identity. Well, people just the same as a transgender person is going to be wanting to be recognized as, the gender they identify with. Just the same as, someone who doesn't fit in male and female categories is not going to very well want to be associated with those pronouns either. And honestly, for number one, language is weird, okay? And if that's your big stick, one, they, them is a singular pronoun. If it's not dictionarily a singular pronoun already, then I can bet you within the coming years it will be. Because honestly, people, regardless of any of this gender identity crap that has just blown itself out of proportion, you know, we use, they, them for, just anybody. Like, if we don't know the gender of the person, or if we're just kind of like, or if someone's like, oh, hey, where'd potato go? And that person's like, oh, yeah, they went to the store. And, it's like, that's a common thing we say. Or, like, if someone left their umbrella somewhere. And I heard this example from a video, but I don't remember where. But, it's like, oh, someone left their umbrella here. There. Hello. It's like, yeah. Have you, they like you, or, they, oh, they will be right back, or whatever. I mean, a lot of people use that singularly and don't even think about it. So, I mean, now, for me, I'm like, okay, whatever gender neutral means to you, use that for me, basically, at this point. But they, them really is the, we're not enforcing a new word onto people and making it significantly more complicated. So yeah, and honestly, language-wise. So, and this can go to apply to either the gender identity or just the usage of the pronoun in general, is one, is, language is stupid, okay? Have you tried to take French? Have you tried to take Spanish, German, whatever? There are a lot of languages that, he, she is associated with so many things, and like, English is actually very relatively gender neutral about things. The only thing we use he, she on is humans and animals. Basically any living creature. Um, and like honestly, it's like okay, in modern day society, I'm like, okay, is there really even a point to this anymore? Like, does it matter if can we just go with one solid pronoun for now on for everybody, male and female alike, um, and non-gendered humans? Like, can we just go with that? Because I mean, at this point, that sounds easier than just dealing with this whole pronoun bullcrap. Honestly, like it's so funny because I use they them pronouns and I'm like, okay, this is getting stupid. Somebody, somebody save me from the stupid. Dear Lord, save me from the stupid. I'm already in hell. That's why I'm here. uh, so yeah, and language-wise, so this kind of goes into gender identity too. Is when we're labeling people and whatever, is we have and we have a tendency to give different words to something that just ever so slightly changed things. Magma, lava. Magma is underground. Lava is above ground. Um, Asteroid is in space. Meteor is falling in the atmosphere and is going to kill us all. And once it's on the ground, it's a rock. It's a nice boulder. Man, I hope it's not a nice boulder. That would be a pretty, like, that would be a nice boulder though. Just like random asteroid, just meteor. Ooh, boulder. Just like, just do the SpongeBob thing of just get on top of it and start riding it around. Okay, now I'm just being stupid. Oh no, the stupid, it's spreading. Oh. Yeah. So, yeah, gender identity is weird. And, we have names for just the slightest variation of things. So, in like breeds of dogs. I mean, hell, we have, I mean, there's just so, and grace of humans, and I mean, honestly, it's like, why not? I mean, if, we're going to put on, the slightest variation is disconnected from either gender, regardless of if it's an actual valid gender identity in itself. It's like, I mean, if someone feels a little bit disconnected, I mean, enough to the point where they really don't want to be recognized as male or female, I mean, why not just give them the sake of the word? So yeah, I mean, like I said, slightest variation of words, let's just go with it, because people are vastly different, and we can all put a bunch of labels on ourselves, and I swear in fact, that's why some snowflakes get so annoying, is because they will label off their able status, their sexuality, how hard and how kinky they like it, gender identity, romantic status, if you don't know the difference between sexual and romantic, go watch another video. Um, I already talk way too much to cover that right now. But if you want me to make a video, I will, about that. If I somehow haven't already. uh, they, they just have this list of ongoingness of just all the labels that are on them. And it gets, I mean, it gets pretty interesting. Like, honestly, with me, I mean, it's kind of necessary for me to maybe point out that I'm legally blind because, well, I can't see shit. Literally and figuratively. Actually, I'm not even gonna go into that. Okay. Topic. Let's talk about the topic at hand, though. So yeah, then you're just like, okay, yeah, but what about scientifically? Well, like I said, we tend to classify things off of very small variations. I mean, and it's like, biologically, there's obviously intersex and hermaphrodites or whatever. And, so, let's not even go into the subject of, oh, it doesn't happen in nature thing because, yeah. But, I mean, honestly, when it comes to labeling things, like, so I'm gonna take an extreme thing and I'm gonna kind of use it, but, difference between crocodile and alligators. These are two completely different species, and yet, we still, classify them, but they're very similar, even though they're best. There's a little bit of difference, but not a lot. And of course, I use this as an example because that's, while it's a kind of an extreme example, it's still saying, like, hey, look, hell, we have a pretty distant thing with, separating animals. And then, if you want to get into those categories of, okay, this is a specific type of, are they a specific type of alligators or crocodiles? I don't know. I should not have used that as an example, but I'm sticking with it anyways. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, let's take a less extreme example. Let's go with colors. So, there's the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and purple, and pink, and white, and black, and brown, and just gold, silver nails, silver nails, silver nails. It's cold as shit in the city. Okay, I am done being a dork for this portion of time. So, point being, I get so off topic, but point being is, so with those different colors, we still have so many different types of greens and so many different types of other colors, and hell, I mean, honestly, indigo is, even though, we say indigo is a separate color from blue and purple, we still are, like, try to put it in one of those two categories. and it just does not work out. We are the indigos. Female is purple and male is blue. Non-binary is indigo. There we go. Solved all the problems of the world right there. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we get into details on colors, I mean, it's just like there is so much. There is a very, I mean, people will like chew your head off if you even say it's not the right color of shade. Then I'm just like, don't kill me, I'm blind, okay? But yeah, so I mean, like, that's a slightly less extreme example. And so I mean, like, and you're like, well, we probably shouldn't be separating humans so much, but at the same time, it's like, it does, I think we kind of already do separate on this aspect. Let's be real. Girls hang out with girls, guys hang out with guys, queers hang out with queers. And they all hang out with the others of other genders about as much as the others. And queers still hang out with guys and females here and there, just same as guys might hang out with queers and females here and there, and females might hang out with queers and guys here and there. But for the most part, people just kind of group up, and like, all these queers who are more androgynous, whether that be really butch feminine, really butch females and very feminine guys. So, yeah. And overall, like I said, it's like a title. It's respectful. But you know what? If someone gives you a reason to not respect them, just the same as maybe calling a professor by their first name or last name or whatever they don't like, that's actually a really good equivalent. It's about as bad as that, or as bad as using God's name in vain, which is honestly a big pet peeve with me. But so yeah, I mean, being misgendered, it sucks, but it doesn't invalidate who I am. It just gives you a false idea and a false interpretation of who I am. Because I am, I know myself. And that's all I can really be said on that regard. So I also will respect the people who cannot look at me and say, yeah, that person's not really a dude or a chick. And that's fine, as long as you give me a good reason. Just don't give me some bull crap. Actually use some logic a little bit. Hearing wind outside. It's very quiet. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's respectful to that person's interpretation of who they are and how they try to represent themselves. And, I do think it is respectful, and it is, yeah. But I mean, if that person, If that person treats you like shit, all the power to you to misgender them, I guess. I hope this made sense. I want to do as much as I can to find a way to give reasons and justify using they them pronouns and non-binary identities in a way that conservatives and people who just are annoyed as shit with the SJW bullshit and snowflakes and stuff like that, a way that those people who just can't stand those people can understand, because obviously I can't stand listening to the bullcrap that comes out of some of these people's mouths. Like, sometimes they'll even say, sex isn't even a real thing. Like, I'm just like, what? So, yeah, I mean, so, if I'm not very clear and if, you're not still completely convinced, well, I'm always open to conversation. I'm not the best at responding, I'll be honest. Especially as of lately. But, I want to try to make sense of this to people who want to give it a shot and who want to actually hear it out, but who don't want to, hear bullcrap, basically, and who wants to hear a logical explanation and not the crap of, oh, you shouldn't have to defend it though. Like, yeah. So, guys, got questions? Feel free to ask, and hopefully this helped or made sense, or, at the very least, provoke some thought. Please think about it a little bit. Thank you. Bye.